I'm originally from Presidio, Texas. I was born in Presidio, and I went to school there until to the 12th grade, graduated. And the same year I graduated, I was drafted in the armed forces. Instead of going in the Army, I went in the Air Force. The landscape was mostly farming, and just about everybody that was a farmer was either a sharecropper, like my dad. My dad was a sharecropper. We managed 2 farms. He took care of the cotton. I took care of the alfalfa. And it was, you go to school, and then after school you run home, change, and then go to the farm until late at night. And and during the times that we had to do harvest, the schools would let us out, to do what to harvest whatever we had. Like for me, it was the alfalfa. I would take 3 days with my friends, also students, and we would cut the alfalfa and then bale it and make bales out of it, and then store it, and then go back to school. So very interesting because it was all farming. We had the best watermelons and best cantaloupes, and onions, big onions. Yeah, so. Well, Uncle Sam decided that for me. As soon as I graduated, I received the notice that I needed to take my physical and testing, and I did. And it was in May when I finished high school, May of 1966, and by August I had a notice to report for induction. And so instead of going in the Army, I don't know how, but I visited an Air Force recruiter and he put me in. It was, I didn't know nothing about the armed forces because we didn't have radio, we didn't have TV, we didn't have telephone either, where we lived. And so you might say we didn't know that much about the outside. And then the only time we learned about the armed forces was in the movies. They would show the news, and but to us it was foreign. It was foreign, and we didn't really pay that much attention. So when I went in the military, it was totally, I didn't know nothing about it. So, and it took me a while to get used to it, but I finally made it. I went in, I stayed in 4 years in the Air Force and then got out and then came back in because by the time I had just gotten back from Vietnam, and when you get out, you had to compete with hundreds of other soldiers for the same job, and so it was tough. So I decided to come back in, and coming back in, I served a total of 22 years. The only thing that I encountered was a lot of prejudice. We didn't have that many, well, in my units, we didn't have that many Latinos or Hispanics. And so it was hard for us, especially me. And even in Vietnam, we had a person that guess didn't like minorities because he put us on mobility. We had to fly into the jungles and move troops here and there on aircraft. And at that time you didn't see who were the ones, but looking back, we were all minorities, the ones that were put on those missions. And Bob Hope came. Everybody got to go see it except us, the minorities. We had to take care of the units. And so, you don't think about it. You go on working, doing your job. But then you realize, hey, what's going on here? And with that perspective, I try to treat everybody like a person. I didn't try to discriminate. I tried to treat everybody equal. And that in itself made me a good supervisor, because I was chosen to a lot of good jobs in the Air Force. I ran the terminals where I had a lot of boys, young airmen, male and female. And like I said, I treated them all like, they needed to be treated. And so it was tough at first, but then, like I said, I realized I needed to do that. And that gave me the perspective to working with youth, because a lot of the young people coming in the Air Force were not treated right. And I saw that, and I created a training center in the Air Force with the help of my superintendent, and we were able to train a lot of young people to where they went all over the United States, wherever they were being assigned. And I even got recognition for that. And like I said, it made me who I am as I came out of the Air Force, working with youth. I saw that at the beginning. I started back in these early 70s at church. I saw that a lot of the young people were not being used as resources or given the opportunity to advance. And so I took it upon myself. We started a youth group at our church. That was the first one I started. And then from then on, I started working with the adults, teaching them that they needed to concentrate on the youth. And so they made us, our church became well known in the community, and doing a lot of things for the community itself, the adults and the youth. And from there, I started working in the community with other groups. I went to work for a nonprofit organization, and we did prevention. I became a preventionist, and we worked with trying to prevent youth from joining gangs, using and abusing alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. And he took us into the schools, churches, community centers, all over throughout the county. And even the state, our organization, our company had a diverse unit, diverse people. We had Asians, we had blacks, we had Hispanics, and and whites in the organization, and we became a very productive unit. And they would call us and give them training on some of the things like culture, things like that. And so we did a lot of things. We started a youth group also where I worked. It became a well-known youth group and a youth council. And those young people still today, they're adults with families, and they communicate with each other. And we were so proud that a lot of them decided to go to college with the training we gave them. And with that, being in the community, I wanted to do something with the Hispanic kids. We saw that a lot of them were reaching the 10th grade and dropping out and joining gangs. So I was one of the founders for the League of United Latin American Citizens here in Oklahoma, a council that we started. And my focus was to get them to work with the youth. And we even named the council as our educational council. And at first, I got a lot of resistance working with youth. And so I decided, I took it upon myself, and we did. In 2005, we started our first youth council. And it grew so big that later on, a couple of years later, we had to divide the group. And we had a North Council and a South Council. And I was so proud that a lot of them went to college and are now professionals in the community. So, and that gave me the perspective of we need to work with youth, because they're our future. Yes, being a veteran, Manuel Perez was, we had an organization called, an organization that there was mostly Hispanic veterans. And so the American GI Forum is called. And we had a chapter here. And then we started a second one. So we had two chapters of the of that organization. And also I started a youth group in that organization, which are now professionals. And that organization would do things for Manuel Perez, because being a young man from Oklahoma City, got killed and earned the Medal of Honor, we wanted to do something. And because the organization later on faded away, we needed to do something else. And there was a park that was named Manuel Perez, but it was in the neighborhood, but nobody would use it. And we went to the city trying to, with the MAPS program, we wanted to see if they could include it. And they said no, because it was not part of the MAPS program. But we had a council person that told us, they're getting monies, and why don't you go back and do something about it? And we did. We formed a committee, and the committee was because the old park had a plaque with his Manuel Perez on all his history, and that plaque got stolen. And so we decided to raise enough funds to buy another one. But at that time, like I said, the council person told us that we needed to do something about the park, because there was opportunities. And we did. We went to the Parks and Recs, and they approved it after so many meetings. And then we went to City Council, and they approved it after so many meetings. And they moved the park to the south side of the river, which is on 17th and Robinson, South Robinson. And we started with the Capitol Hill Civic Group. We formed another committee called the Friends of Manuel Perez. And I was the chairperson for the veterans. And we brought in ideas. We submitted them to the Parks and Recs, the City Parks and Recreation Center. And they approved it, and is now what we see being built, that was built. And we wanted to make sure that people knew about that, because not only does it recognizes Manuel Perez, but every veteran that earned the Medal of Honor was given the Medal of Honor throughout the state of Oklahoma. So you'll have his name there, and then several others individuals. But because it's not being used, it was vandalized. And that breaks our heart, because, you know, nobody can respect the honor of what he did. And so we need to do something about that. I guess it was the pride that you did something, and the pride that America is the best country in the world, and you need to serve and protect it so that we can have that freedom. And with that, I was able to, I guess, pass on some of that information or some of that pride to other individuals. Because of that, I became an Air Force recruiter. And I wanted young people to join the Air Force and be proud of what we have. And they made me even more proud of what we have accomplished. So I had to go to a lot of schools, talk to students everywhere, and that opened a lot of doors as well. Freedom is being able to, like I said, I went to a lot of countries where they didn't have that freedom. I guess my my perspective of freedom is that you're able to have that, choose to who you want to be and work towards that, and not have anybody tell you you can't do that. You can't do that. And to me, that's something that gives us a lot of pride in being able to know that you can accomplish a lot of things, and that's freedom to me. It's an individual thing. Right now, with the things going on with Congress and things in the government, to me, I would hesitate to tell somebody you need to join, because a lot of our rights, a lot of our things that we work for are being taken away because of they don't like what's going on in Congress. So to me, we have to really, really look at it and see what each individual can do, and make up their mind to join. But to me, like I said, I would hesitate to push somebody to go in the military, because if Congress doesn't get their act together, then I wouldn't advise it. And it's a pity to say that, but that's what's going on. I guess somebody that gave of himself to make the community better, Because as I was, like I said, I started working, I became a gang specialist, and I got called to a lot of communities to see what we could do to cut some of the young people from joining gangs and things like that. The other thing is we need to come together as a group, as people, to make the community better and not compete with each other. That's the worst thing that I saw, people competing with each other and dividing ourselves. And I would like to see the communities look at what's going on, create goals and plans and work toward that. Like on the south side, Capitol Hill area, there was, I hear that there was a thriving part of the town. And so my thing was, I got called there because we had a lot of gangs around there. We worked towards it, and I got involved with the Capitol Hill Civic Group. I'm one of the founders, and our goal was to bring recognition or notice to the community there. And so we called in a lot of people that could help us. And it's gone on over 20 years now that the community came together and trying to make it better. And other things that I've done in the community, with the churches, with the schools as well. We did a banquet for young people that were not being recognized. A lot of these young people were called high risk, which I don't like to use that name or that phrase, high risk. But we worked towards trying to get those young people to finish high school, and we did. We succeeded. And to reward them for finishing high school, we created a banquet, and it started growing and growing. And the other thing is when those young people wanted to do something other than just being called high risk and being ignored and stuff. So. No, I don't, and that's something that I wish I had, because I wanted to do something for the Hispanic or the Latino veterans here in Oklahoma City, and that's why I got involved with Manuel Perez. Hopefully that would bring a lot of them together, but it's not working. The other thing is, we need to understand that a lot of the universities are looking to recruit Latinos to go to school there. And I work towards a lot of that. I visit a lot of the universities and colleges throughout the state. I was able to go in, and every year I would get calls from the universities and say, can you come and talk to the students coming in? And they gave me a lot of pride because I would have to go in and talk to them. I became a leader in residence at the UCO, and I was able to talk to a lot of the professors there about the Latino community. And I started seeing it grow. A lot of Latino students were going to that. And that gave me a lot of pride. But then after a while, doing all that work, you want to take a break. You want to take a break. And that's what I did. I decided to take a break and just concentrate on my family. So, but I still, sometimes I look at, I need to go back and maybe work some more with Latino kids, the youth, but I don't know yet.